Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here, and today we begin the first video in the series of interviews I did with Robby Robinson, the Black Prince, back in 2019 and 2020. In this first video, Robby elaborates on the challenges he had as a bodybuilder with sickle cell anemia, and he describes the different things he has learned over the years to help him become the master bodybuilder, even with the handicap of sickle cell anemia. In this video series with Robby, we will delve deep into Robby's upbringing, and he discusses in great detail the training methods, nutritional knowledge, and preventative steps he has taken over the years to become the example and master of longevity in bodybuilding that he is so well known for. Enjoy.
Hello.
Yes.
Is it loud
Hi,
enough?
Mr. Robinson.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure. It's an absolute honor to call you and to make your acquaintance, sir.
Good.
Thank you, firstly, for accepting the invitation to do an interview. I really appreciate it. I've read your book, The Black Prince. Got it here. Great read.
Interesting.
You sent it to me probably about 5 years ago, and
I did what?
you sent this book to me 5 years ago with your signature on it there.
Heavy.
And, yeah,
It's a
you
long
did.
time.
It's a long time, and I've read it several times, and I've got several questions to ask if you don't mind.
No, go ahead. Knock yourself out.
Great. Firstly, just say that my channel is all about the golden era of bodybuilding. I'm all about promoting the classic old school bodybuilding era, because that's kind of what appeals, I think, to a greater audience of people as it did back then. You know, this is why I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you.
To speak to me. Thank you. Could you start off by telling us about your upbringing, when and where you were born?
Yeah, I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida, along with, I guess at that point, Seminole Indians. I grew up in the swamps of Tallahassee, Florida. But to me, it's a world of adventure. You know, I didn't even think about growing up in the swamps. I grew up in the swamps. I went to school. I came back home. I lived a life. I spent probably 95% of myself alone in the woods, in the swamps with animals. But I loved it. You didn't see any, you saw very little hate and prejudice and bad feelings unless you, I would say, invaded their territory. You know, there was more respect between animals and humans. So I spent the majority of my time growing up in the swamps. Absolutely, you might not believe it, 90%, 95% of my time was spent with animals. Why I say that is because growing up in my culture, you know, you have to be like, if you're gonna do something, you have to be the very best at it. If not, don't do it. That's just how we grew up to be. That's how we're taught. If you can't put your heart and soul into something, there's no sense in doing it. So everything I've tried to do in my lifetime since I was a kid was I wanted to be the very best at it. I didn't care what it was, if it's playing hopscotch, if it's wrestling, if it's jumping rope, I wanted to do the best at it. And that's how I've lived my life up to I'll be 74 this coming May. So I still toe that line. I still live that kind of life. I spend more time alone than I do with humans. The only time I'm with them basically is engaging them with my training techniques and working with them through my master's class, or someone talking to me just basically about training. But I think there's a different, respect that animals have with animals that humans have with humans. So I grew up in that sense of respect. Everything you see the animals on the ground in my tree house. I built tree houses when I was a kid. So I was able to observe and watch these animals intermingle with each other, the wolves with the wolves and the bears and deers, and how everybody related to each other. Of course, they kill each other for food. It's normal, but at the same time, there was a certain respect in all of that. And that's how I grew up. Wanted to be very respectful of everybody. Whomever I deal with, I wanted to give them the utmost respect. So I think somewhere along the road there, we've kind of lost all of that.
I agree.
But growing up in the swamps to me was just like an adventure. It was just the animals, their behavior characteristics, their smells, or their sensitivities, they're living among each other. And there was a certain amount, as I say, respect that I enjoyed observing growing up. And I said, wow, they have more respect for each other than humans have on humans.
Absolutely.
That was my observation of it. And I still, to this day, I'm basically a loner. I spend 95% of my time alone, reading, researching, posting myself on the social media, teaching people how to build their physiques, educating about the importance of nutrition, the importance of how powerful the mind is. Because if you allow it, it can become an incredible fortress. And then if you can also allow it and it become a nightmare. So I totally believe that you focus on things that you want to be come into your life, and then eventually it will pull you in that direction. That's how I've always seen things. Even if you have a bad moment or something bad happen, I don't think you should terminate yourself. I've seen a lot of people go through some bad times and they really get down on themselves. But me, I'd be trying to look up for the next day that I could be even something positive happen. That's how I believe it. One day of bad doesn't terminate your life or make you feel that as if nothing's going to exist in your life. But I just think it's very important to think positive, regardless of what the situation is.
Thank you for introducing your childhood. It sounds like it was a definite adventure.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to move on to your amazing genetics. I mean, I've read your book, as I said, and you've talked about how your father and your mother had very unique genetics. Do you want to elaborate on that?
I think what a lot of people fail to realize is this: the DNA my father had. He was 6 feet 200 and I'm gonna say 15 pounds, 220 pounds, but it was just all muscle. That was very little fat because we lived off what we had off that farm: collard greens, cornbread, black eyed peas, all the rice, vegetables. That's how I grew up. I grew up in a healthy environment. My mom was an awesome cook, so I could smell her food coming from the bus stop 5 blocks away. But all of that, it kind of like built and struck in my foundation. My mom had a great body, my father had a great body. And I think that was what tripped over to me because I was the last of 7 boys. There were 14 kids in my family. So I was the 6th of the 7 boys. And so I took basically genetics after both my mother and father. I noticed it right away as a bodybuilder. I noticed that I grew real quick. The muscles were just like already there. And I'm probably 6, 7, 8 years old. And I thought, wow, okay. So I just kept doing it. But by the time I was 12 years old, I already had a physique. 14, 15, 16, I was already competing, winning competition, placing in competitions. But I just think that it played a huge role in how I look today as 7'3". They had a foundation, so I think I carried that foundation, the genetic foundation, to a whole nother level. Seriously.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, I mean, you had amazing genetics, but throughout your life, you've had sickle cell anemia. When did you find out about that, and how has it affected your childhood and your whole life?
I've grown up, in my culture, in my neighborhood, there were no doctors. You couldn't afford it. That was not where you're not going to take your body, excuse no disrespect, to a white doctor. It's just not possible. You grew up, you went to Miss May, who lived 2 blocks away, who was basically had all the herbs and all the stuff that would keep you well. That's where my mom would send us. If you got a cold, if you got sick or something, she would send you to Miss May. Miss May was like the neighborhood witch doctor, a root doctor, as you would call it in those days. And she always had some oil and some Kabbalah, some bushes in a bottle with oil. And you would go to her. Everybody in our neighborhood went there. You're talking probably 10,000 people, but everybody went to her. Nobody went to the white doctors. No disrespect, but that's just how we grew up. That's how we were, groomed, I would say, to go to her if you have a cold, if you got sick, if you had the flu, if you had a disease. You didn't go to a doctor. There was no trust there. But if you went to Miss May down the road 5 blocks away in her house, and she's going to give you something that's going to help you. That's how I grew up.
But with the sickle cell anemia, when did you find out you had it?
I was always kind of sickly as a kid. I was always just not in a good place. health-wise. You know, I grew up as a kid. You know, kids eat all this candy and cookies and stuff like that when they're younger. And I just came to the point in my life where I just stopped eating all that stuff. I just stopped quick cold turkey, probably 5, 6 years old, because I got tired of being sick. And I remember sitting in my mom's home watching television, the first black and white TV, and I'm sitting there watching, I'm seeing this white guy, Jack LaLanne, up there jumping and moving around and talking about health. And I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. And so I started watching it every day, participating in the exercises, and all of a sudden I start to feel better. I thought, wow, maybe I need to get up and start moving and stop complaining and worrying and being sick like that. Maybe this is something I should do for life. And then I started exercising with Jack LaLanne. My health got better. I got stronger. And I still went on with the sickle cell for a long time. I didn't know I had sickle cell until I arrived in Los Angeles, 1975. Okay, I had been competing and winning competitions. I didn't even know that I had sickle cell. I mean, you're talking about it is a deadly thing if you don't unaware of it. You can get sick. The oxygen level can change in the body. I still was a little bit sickly going through life a little bit, always something. Not bad, but I didn't dwell on it, see. I think a lot of times when people get diseases or they get sick, they spend too much time thinking and worrying when they should be trying to do something about it. And when I came out here in 1975, Dr. Michael Walzak did blood work on me. And then I heard back from him. He said, well, Robert, you have sickle cell. This was 1975. I probably was about 24, 25 years old. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I wonder what that is. I had no clue. Dumb, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't know what sickle cell was. I was thinking like, wow, that must be pretty interesting. So I started reading up, doing all the research on it. And then I found it can cause you problems. You can have an aneurysm of the brain. You can have a heart attack. You can get very sickly with it because of lack of oxygen to the organs. The organs will die off if you don't really get enough oxygen to it. So I still went on and trained, won all the championships. I didn't really have a lot of problem with it because I really started going into intravenous feedings like glutathione, B12, calcium, zinc, all the mineral type things that you could put in your body intravenous. And so I think that's what really saved me in a sense. I was still able to be very, very strong because these nutrients were delivered into my bloodstream, which actually helped my blood, nourished the blood. And I kept getting better and better and stronger. But I was touring a lot over the last year. So my friend of mine told me, say, Mr. Robinson, hey, listen, that pressure changes. The pressure changes in a person, blood pressure person changes in a person that has sickle cell. So I got very sick, probably more like toward this year. And I thought that was the end of it pretty much, really. My heart was bothering me. My joints and bones were aching to the bone. You know, I was back to where I was when I was a kid, sick all over again. I didn't like that because I wasn't used to it. So I started going to what you call a hyperbaric chamber. Put me in a hyperbaric chamber. You're in there for an hour. And then they put you on a mat to help drive that oxygen into your muscle cell. But then if you want to really work, you have to do it every single freaking day. That's $100, $110 an hour. You can't, your body, you can have the money, but then the money starts running out. Then I had to start doing blood, what they call it, blood transfusion. Well, each blood transfusion costs you $300. That's a lot of freaking money. So by the end of the year, bro, I done spent $40,000 just doing that, staying alive. Spent $40,000 to stay alive, and it still wasn't alive, but on the board, hanging on there with a fingertip. So I just kind of calmed myself down, and I started working with this group of scientists out of NASA, and they helped created this product that helped nourish the blood and give it more oxygen. Okay, so I started using this product. I've been using it now for almost 12 months, and I'll be honest with you, I feel more vitality, more energy. I'm stronger. I'm more muscular. I have a longer extension of stamina and endurance. So I'm at a really happy place with my health. That's the most important part. If you can have all the money in the world, my man, and if you're ill, you don't feel well, that money don't have it has no power at all. So I'm healthier now.
Absolutely.
I'm stronger, and I'm excited about, going on with my life because I know I have a new life.
Yes.
I'm in a happy place right now.
Very good. Very happy to hear.
Yeah. I mean, you I think one thing I really focus on is being positive.
Yeah.
Being positive played a huge role in it. Maintaining my eating and discipline. On my good days, I was going there and tear the walls off it. And on my bad days, I would back off and be a little bit more not aggressive. And then when the energy come back, that's how I've been playing it. So I think doing that, through source of variety, you would call it, my body's kind of regenerated, sir. I'm 73, but I feel extremely young. I don't feel like a 73-year-old person. I don't look like I don't act like a 73-year-old person. I don't walk around like a 73-year-old person. So I know that my body and my health is at its optimum, just a right long in now. And I feel like that guy. I really feel healthy, vibrant, full of life. I can't wait for the next day. That's because I'm all of a sudden now I feel healthier. So I think when you feel healthier, the body, you're just in a whole nother, you're in a blitz. Forget about it. I mean,
Right.
I'm in a very happy place.
I can
And
tell.
I think health is the most important thing. If you're not healthy, you're not wealthy. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
So, as we have learned from Robby Robinson, he grew up rather poor and isolated in the swamps, learning from nature, eating pure foods from the land his parents worked on. According to Robby Robinson, his sickle cell anemia was undiagnosed until later in life as an adult, and he would survive on no Western medicine, being treated with herbal medicines by a root doctor, which later on in this series you will learn as to how he still applies this herbal knowledge to maintain his longevity. Only later in life, when he arrived in California, did he further boost his health during his competitive years as a bodybuilder by having parenteral intravenous feedings of glutathione, B12 and minerals such as calcium and zinc, which in his opinion saved his life after he received his first steroid cycle, and is a topic that Robby and I delve on in great detail later on in this series. Interestingly, glutathione, B12, calcium, and zinc are all well-known supplementation strategies for patients with sickle cell anemia. What I find so amazing about Robby too is that even though he was dealt with sickle cell anemia genetically, he was still able to develop one of the greatest physiques in bodybuilding history, and it does make you wonder how much further he could have gone if he didn't have sickle cell anemia. In many ways, he is still a genetic wonder. Finally, Robby Robinson talks about how proactive he was to also do something positive about his perceived and persistent sickness as a boy, beginning his bodybuilding and health journey by watching and performing the Jack LaLanne show on TV as a boy of 5 years of age. It is through the Jack LaLanne show that we will learn how Robby began his bodybuilding in the next video series and why he has such a positive outlook in life. So be sure to watch the next video in the series coming soon. So I do hope you have enjoyed this first video on Robby Robinson and how he has mastered bodybuilding with sickle cell anemia. If you have enjoyed this video, please give the video a like, make sure to subscribe and comment, and click the bell button to be notified of the next video. If you want to learn more about Robby Robinson and his approach to bodybuilding, please make sure to visit his website for his excellent books on bodybuilding. That's it from me. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now. Golden Era bodybuilding booklets are available at www.goldenerabookworm.com, including Steve Reeves, Reg Park, Vince Gironda, Larry Scott, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mike Mensa, Tom Platz, Danny Padilla, and much more. Online training is now available, including my new program, Novice to Classic, a program geared towards beginners and novices looking at developing a classic physique, as well as Classic Cut, geared at those who wish to lose weight and gain muscle fast. Details available at www.goldenerabookworm.com. Need a bodybuilding poster for your gym or office? Then check out Iron Man Magazine archive.smugmug.com for the highest quality posters on the planet. Scroll through the galleries of all the legends, including greats such as Arnold, Frank Zane, Sergio Oliva, Serge Nubret, Tom Platz, and Larry Scott, and much, much more, and select your poster now. As a natural bodybuilder, it is imperative to know your own testosterone levels, as they are a reflection of the anabolic environment created by your diet and training. I would highly recommend using the male hormone test kit from Let's Get Checked, and make sure you use my code GOLDEN30 for a 30% discount. Again, the advantage of checking yourself regularly is that you will know how well your body is anabolically primed to put on the much desired muscle you are working for. Get your gym wear and Golden Era apparel at the new Golden Era Tees shop, featuring designs from the Silver Era and Golden Era legends, available as tanks, shirts, sweatshirts, and hoodies in all sizes and colors. To support your favorite YouTube channel, please visit teespring.com/store/Golden Era Bookworm for merchandise including t-shirts, hoodies, face masks, phone cases, and much, much more. Once again at teespring.com/store/Golden Era Bookworm. Become a patron at www.patreon.com/Golden Era Bookworm for hard to find books, scans of rare photos, and articles on the Golden Era of bodybuilding. If you're a fan of old school bodybuilding, then make sure to check out Sups the Movie. Filmmaker Alex Ardenti explores the $40 billion sports supplement industry, delving into the origins, evolution, and current state of supplements used by millions of fitness enthusiasts worldwide, available at Amazon and Vimeo.